Number 21. You often say that there are no us and them because we are products of our environment. Well, hold on, let me stop you right there. The us and them aspect has nothing to do per se with being products of the environment exactly. It has to do with the fact that the notion of us and them is static. And the issue is that the stasis of it is the point I'm trying to make. And I use that in a term that's specifically targeted to those that want to just constantly blame somebody else for their problems. It is in part because we're products of our environment, but everyone supports the system. Somebody who makes ammunitions for the war industry needs to feed his family. He does what he has to do so. But they might use his munitions to kill an innocent tribe somewhere in the Middle East. Is he responsible for that? Is he the them? This individual might not even like war. He might not even like that particular war, but he's still a part of it. And that's essentially what I'm talking about. We all continue to reinforce the system because, unfortunately, that's how we all achieve the reward of survival, is reinforcement of this monetary-based social concoction. But let me continue, I'm sorry. While this might be true in the future where we are not only equals but treated as equals as well, but for now, almost everything is us and them, all of them in powerful position-making, awful, despisable decisions. I'm sorry, English must not be the first language. Let me paraphrase this, hold on a moment. Okay, the question is essentially how do we deal with those that are in positions of power now that want to interfere with what we're doing or do not share the view that we do. Well, okay, in that sense there is an us and them, yes, you're right. In abstraction, the establishment is going to have to be challenged, and I think we've talked about that quite a few times. I don't believe they're going to give up the monetary system, and I think Fresco's made that point as well. There's really only two paths. There are others, but for the sake of this question, you challenge and you reject the system, and this could materialize in the form of mass protests on a global scale, and or the system collapses on its own accord. Most likely it's going to be a combination of the two. The question to me isn't, is this going to happen? The question is, how much suffering is going to have to occur in society before we finally realize the real correct path? That's the issue to me. I think that the groups in power that will fight this will slowly lose steam because they're going to start to be injured as well. And technological unemployment is, in fact, one of the most important attributes. And it's not just the phenomenon of it, it's the ramification of technology. I think that we could still trickle along for quite a bit of time with just a very slow increase in unemployment because most people don't realize what type of technology is actually out there. And this will be in the third film as well. If you actually step back and look at the technology, and then you simply creatively apply what you understand about the properties of that technology, the capabilities, to occupations that are in existence, you can see how virtually overnight, I would say 50% of most occupations could be removed. Not to mention occupations that have no basis to any type of, that have no social relevance whatsoever, and there are countless ones of those, as has been discussed before. So a little bit of a tangent on your point, but obviously, we all know that there is an establishment that is in absolute opposition to anything like this. We have a culture of, quote, them, that has a value distortion that's based entirely upon self-interest, greed, and just narrow self-preservation. And that has to be overcome holistically. Again, it is a complex point, but we're going to get a lot of help from the awareness that technology can produce an abundance and can remove human beings of monotonous labor. Once most people realize that the 9 to 5s they go into are A, pointless, or B, can be replaced by machine, I think you'll see a consciousness shift. People will have a new level of understanding. They'll be given more tools, and their reasoning processes will allow them to understand that they're being had to a certain degree, that the system needs to be changed for the betterment of them. It always comes back to the self-preservation in a sense. Because I'm on this tangent, let me say one final point. The real value shift is not just a form of, holistic altruism. The real value shift is redefining self-interest. Instead of narrow self-interest, instead of unenlightened narrow self-interest, meaning self-interest for the individual, capitalistic, free market, monetary reward, me first, competing against the world. Instead of that, the new value system, the new form of self-interest will be the betterment of society as a whole. Because once the society is intertwined, once the society is cooperative, people will contribute to society because it's in their best interest to do so. So if someone has a great idea, they have to put it into the system for everyone to share in order for them to reap the benefits of it. That is what we mean by creating a system that is holistically designed as a social system, holistically designed to be social in the sense of the betterment of society itself. I'm sorry, I'm not making myself very clear, but I hope that point came across. That is really the card trick, so to speak. Once people are put in a position to see that their self-betterment, that their self-interest is maximized with the maximization of the interest of the betterment of society as a whole, that is where the value shift is really going to take speed. And that, again, will be a big point in the third film with much more detail. Okay, where am I?